Do it.
All right, everyone. Welcome to our weekly meeting here at JR Capital. This was running a little late than usual. I was actually out of the country this weekend, but better late than never. So this is our first video of the week. We're going to go over last week. We're going to go over this coming week, what pairs are moving, what trades we're looking at, so on and so forth. So before I continue, I'd like to introduce my VP of Trading, Anthony Acosta, who is joining me on this call.
Hey, good evening, guys. How you doing? Thanks, Carlos. I appreciate that.
No problem. We're going to go ahead and talk some pairs. We're going to talk so what's going on with central banks and what we're looking for and the week ahead.
Yeah,
So,
pretty much. Let's do it.
all right. So last week, we know what happened. Federal Reserve meeting, Jackson Hole. Idea was that the dollar is king again. The dollar just moved.
Yelling the yeller.
That's right. That's right. I mean, we can look right here. The date on Friday, we were at what, 126, 100.26? We are
Big
now
move.
about 300 pips from that. So a bullish breakout to say the least, just on dollar yen. I mean, if we're gonna look here at a daily chart, just have all these movements in the downside, the lower highs and the lower lows. I mean, we were kind of trending here a little bit of a base that we set up here at around below 102, 101, 80, and then it just broke out. Now we're at 103. Even in the Asian
Yeah,
session, we're still getting some dollar buying. What are you looking
yeah.
at,
Right now, it's
Anthony?
actually moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to add to that. Well, right now for me, USD JPY, it looks definitely looks like it probably set up a little short to medium term bottom, I would say, but we would need more conviction. Above, I think we got two more resistance levels before we can actually, I would say, double bottom, medium term, maybe even long term. But of course, that has to do with fundamentals with the NFP coming up in ADP report tomorrow. So, gotta watch this one closely
So if we
as
get
well.
a big beat on ADP tomorrow, which we can just take a look at the
Yeah, it is tomorrow,
AD
Wednesday.
tomorrow, 8:15.
8th.
If we get a
Mhm.
serious beat of 174 in payroll, which is actually a pretty low number, and these are private
Yeah,
payrolls. This is not government. This is private payrolls, which is a really good bellwether of what to expect from NFP. I would say about it's 7 to 8 times out of 10, the ADP is a good hint of what we're going to expect in NFP.
yeah, it's a good indicator. I would say so
Good
too.
indicator, good leading indicator. Of
Yeah.
course, it's not gospel. Nothing is for sure, but we're gonna just hold tight, wait till 8:15 and see what's gonna happen. But we're getting movement already. I mean, just in this Asian session, which when it kind of correlates with Sydney and right in the middle of that trading day, it's pretty slow. We don't get a lot of movement. Only on what yen pairs we'll get some movement, Aussie pairs
Yes, exactly.
for the most part.
So
But
we'll see some movement.
hmm I mean, let's go ahead and compare dollar pairs with the other pairs, other majors. Let's go ahead and hook up here.
Dollar, I would say technically looks good, but like I said, we need conviction, to see because I mean if we have a bad NFP, I would say, then down we go. So that's the biggest thing right now, and that would probably take us through a couple resistance areas on the dollar, which would bring us back to bullish. So
Well, looking at this comparison chart here, like we
oh,
looked
there we
we
go.
looked at the last time. Let me go ahead and remove these trend lines here. And of course, this is live data, real time. We're looking at here right at the top, dollar yen since the 23rd, we're up about 2.2%, which is what, about 300 pips. And then if you look at euro dollar from the bullish run that it had, is now down a buck 20, 1.20%. So you're looking at almost 1% gains across the board against the dollar. The dollar is gaining about 1% across the board.
Yes.
That includes pound, that includes euro, that includes yen, and that includes here the what dollar, Canadian dollar. Oh, Aussie's been pretty flat. Not as much of a big move. We had a little bit of a drop on dollar. Aussie was strong for a little bit earlier in the week, and then it actually fell down. Dollar Canadian dollar shot up a little bit, and it did affect the oil markets. We want to go ahead and bring up here a little bit of WTI crude and see where we're at in
Oh yeah,
comparison.
see that nice drop earlier.
Oh yeah,
Nice drop, and then it came right back up, formed a little hammer.
Right, and we know
Uh,
the inverse correlation with the oil markets because of the prices in dollars of the barrels. And right now, crude
exactly.
oil is trading around 46, around the 46 handle. It's down about 5% the last, what, 7 days? Last week?
Yeah.
5% in comparison to the other major currencies. I mean,
Hmm.
if we look here, what, you want to go look at a 4 hour, Anthony?
Yeah, that's cool. That's better.
4 hour chart, WTI. On a 4 hour chart, it's still risen here since around the beginning of August. I mean, oil's had its bull run, but then it kind of stalled at the top around 48, got back down to 46, I believe.
Pretty
So around
much.
what you
I
would say,
mean,
like 45, 46 seems to be the area
yeah,
it wants to
yeah,
range
pretty
in.
much. Yeah, it's been range bound since. So I don't would have to see. You could zoom out maybe, see some better. Yeah. Oh, see
The
some
daily
better. Yeah, there we go. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, if we break here, we have a little ways to go. Just
on the
gotta
downside.
watch this one.
Yeah,
Yeah, to the
and
downside,
we
definitely.
did close that dollar Canadian dollar trade, maybe about 10 pips a little too early, but it did come back down to where we closed. But it was still a
Oh
good call on
yes.
that bullish on that. What was that breakout on the dollar? Still, it still continued from last week and Monday.
Yeah, on USD CAD, we have a nice actual kind of like a, I think it's a double bottom. If you could go to that chart, back to USD CAD, there we go.
There you go.
Go to the 4 hour.
4 hour chart.
Yeah, see when it broke above what is that 130, I think it was.
Well, let's go ahead and
When it
take away
broke
the
above
comparison
130.
so we can get the correct amount. There you go. Around 130,
Yeah, when it broke
131.
120, 129.5, when it broke through there, I mean we were on and rolling.
Right.
Um, Now we have resistance coming up at 130, 131.3, and 132, above 132, and we have another thing. It's probably I would call it bullish. So
Yeah, you see that trend line here I already put here. That was my resistance mark here.
yeah, beautiful.
Yep.
Pretty big move considering it's this move happened in the last 3 days.
Right. Well, that's all it took, man. We're in
Uh,
definitely in a central bank environment where they're determining everything now. They're already moving the markets. It's something that they didn't want to accomplish. They did it. I don't know if on purpose or just because or who knows. But I mean, a strong dollar does help
yeah, who knows?
the it does help the Japanese. But in general, I mean, what more would you want? It helps the exporters to the United States because they get paid in dollars. And I mean,
Exactly.
oil markets, yeah, it's going to hurt a little bit of the barrel of oil, but I think everyone's kind of priced in that barrel of oil is going to be around above 60. I believe that was Goldman's end of year call. And just in general, since February, the February lows, we've bounced back about 60, I think 60, 70%. We were around what, 27 a handle, 27 handle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, if trends continue, if we brought up US oil right now, if trends
Yeah. Put it back.
continue, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to say that we do end up around over 50. I mean,
Oh
June was
yeah, I
the
would
June
say
was the
so too. I
highest.
mean,
June, yeah.
right now it's just pulling back and it's range bound. I mean, definitely. I say. I mean, I know definitely we're before the end of the year. We're between 40 and definitely 60. I don't think we're going below 40. And I mean, if you look at the technical side, I mean, that's a head and shoulders correlation right there too on oil. That shows a bottom.
Right. Now on a 4 hour, I do see a bearish trend, obviously. And right here, this is all Yellen and the Fed. We're expecting what two rate? They're talking about two rate hikes now. I don't see that
Yeah,
happening.
Fisher.
It's too
Fisher
early.
pointed it all to the NFP. He said he just wants to see. Isn't that
Solid,
what he said, Carlos?
a
Yeah, he said
solid
he wants to
jobs
see a
report.
good.
A solid jobs report would do it for us. Wage growth is there. Inflation targets are not really being met. I mean, we're not exactly getting crazy inflation at all. I think we're still running what 3%. Um,
I think so.
but for the most part, it's almost like they're so hesitant. They'd rather do nothing and be okay with it than do something and mess it up. But there's a point
Seems
here.
like it.
If you do nothing and you keep doing nothing and the markets don't do what you want, there's no going back. We're not going to do a rate cut. We're not going to go into negative NARP. We're not going to go to negative interest rates. So we
Exactly.
can't do
Even though
helicopter
some
money.
people talk
Yes,
about it.
that's not going to happen. Uh, if we do raise, and for some reason, whatever happens, I don't know, what would possibly happen that would hurt? Borrowing costs go up 25 basis points across the board, but it's offset with
Yeah,
savers. And the
exactly.
financial companies, their bottom line goes a little up because their lending costs, well, not lending costs, but their lending spreads are going to rise. I mean, it helps everyone except those who are in credit card debt. I mean,
True.
that's like the only thing. I mean, if that's what we're trying to do, fine, I get it. If anything, help student loans, not not credit cards, but that's another topic. But if we do raise, that could be taken away. That's something we can go back to, just like, okay, we messed up, 25 basis points, cut again. But if you do nothing and we kind of hit a rough patch, what do you do then?
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, I'm not saying experiment. The Fed has to experiment and raise just to see what happens. Obviously, you want to hit targets. I do think NFP is a good catalyst, but I think the major key here, the big part, is the political climate. We really don't know what's going to happen in the election. It's closer than people think. Unfortunately, there's no clear cut. We may think we do, but we really don't know. So that's what the Fed's looking at. I mean, the Fed really hasn't done much movement so close to an election cycle, especially with an outgoing two-term president in years.
Hmm.
That doesn't happen. So they're hesitant there. So history is against them, but
Definitely.
these are different times where we have a little bit of deflation. We do have great growth. There's a lot of money on the sidelines too. I mean, what other assets are you going to buy right now that's gonna appreciate when rates are so low?
Exactly.
Too much cheap
That's
money
true
floating
right
around,
there.
man. Too much cheap money floating around. And I do think that we're in an asset bubble and we're in a debt bubble, meaning cheap money, cheap borrowing. One day someone's gonna have to pay these bonds back, and there's not gonna be someone who's gonna buy these bonds because once you raise the rates, which it's gonna have to happen, if the rates are raised, why would you buy cheaper debt? Why would you buy cheap paper? You're not gonna buy a 10-year note that's paying less yields. That doesn't make sense. So the spreads are going to be a
True.
lot lower. So it's going to affect a lot of people and a lot of institutions. But here's the best part, I think. A lot of these institutions have priced it in. Now, here's my question. Do you think the dollar has already been priced in for an NFP pop? Or we
Uh,
still have a little bit ways to go?
I think we still have a little bit of ways to go. It has come a decent amount, but I mean, I think with in line, maybe a bit above expectations, like it has been, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm.
Um, except for that fluke a couple months back. Yeah, I see more. I see the dollar gaining more ground here. Like I said, I think we probably break through some resistance. If you could pull up the yeah, go ahead.
I want to show the SPX, and I want to compare it to dollar yen. Because we know that
Yeah,
the S&P, I mean, that's been our catalyst, see what's been going. We can always compare it to gold a little bit. Hourly chart is not going to really help us, but a daily. So I want to compare it
yeah,
here.
daily's better.
So I want to compare
I
how
mean, it looks
dollar
toppish,
strength.
I would say.
Yeah, I
S&P
want to.
looks, you know,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
heavy.
I want to compare the dollar yen to the S&P and see the correlation here. Look at the difference. It's right there, 14% down dollar yen on a daily. What does it say here? 14% up on
There you
S&P.
go.
So a
Wow.
stronger dollar does not help the S&P. All
Hmm.
right. There's more multinational corporations in the S&P. You know, their costs go higher, the Apples of the world, Chevrons of the world, those guys. So the market does not want a stronger dollar. I don't think CNBC has it right when they're saying the market wants a rate hike. I think financials do. I don't think industrials, multinationals, your Procter and Gamble's, Colgate Palmolive, Chevron, Exxon, those guys don't want a stronger dollar.
Oh, definitely not.
No, because it hurts their bottom line too.
Yeah, that hurts them. So,
So, I mean, and then gold,
hmm.
I mean, gold's dropped since the Yellen speech and Fisher. I mean, when rates go up, less dollars are available, makes it a little more valuable. Gold's going to take a hit. Gold is a good hedge against a cheaper dollar. Now, if we are thinking that we're going to get that hike, short gold, no? I mean, right here looks like it's pretty set on a daily.
Definitely got a double top, sitting right on support.
Look at the 4 hour, and that's
Definitely looking for a break.
and the right.
Technicals are pointing. Technicals do point, and in my opinion, technicals lead the way for fundamentals. So usually, a technical setup will give you kind of a leading indicator. I would think, not all the time because you know how markets are, but it's a good way to go about. I'd say.
I'm going to open it up here and show you a little bit here on the gold. This is U.S. oil right here. This is on a daily,
Yes.
4 hour, excuse me. Here's U. This is TLT. This is bonds, Treasury notes up 8%. Right over here.
Okay.
This is bonds right here. Bonds is pretty flat. We have SPY, which is S&P 500 on a 4 hour. Let me go over there daily. I just want to see the little bit of the spread, the difference. Dollar, yen, where are we? Okay, gold, about 16% here. U.S. oil up a lot higher, so that asset class has been doing better. Dollar, yen, so the yen has been stronger too. TLT, which is the treasury markets, I mean, and S&P 500 SPOOs at 12%. What I do want to zero in here is that what are we looking for with NFP? If we get the number that we want, exceed the number, we're going to expect the rate hike. That's pretty much set, right? So what play do we have, Anthony? What can we deduce here? Short SPOOs, obviously SPOOs would be going down. U.S. oil down, dollar yen
Gold
up, and gold down. I mean, we could see here just on the hourly the big moves since Friday. Friday, I believe, was the 26th.
big moves.
Yeah, look at that. Oil down, dollar yen up. We also have, pretty flat on the bonds, and gold down. So those are really different correlated plays that you can always play. Now you're not going to get as much volatility on a gold move as you would on dollar yen because of the liquidity, the ease of where you could sell it. Gold isn't easy to sell. You have to sell as a trust, the pair. But I mean, there's always options for our clients that they don't have to trade dollar yen if they don't want to. Our goal is to get the weakest versus the strongest. And I would say right now, looking at the board, I mean, yen. I mean, right now, hey, if we get an NFP that hits a home run and we beat it, guess what, man? Risk off mode, baby. Sell that yen. Sell the yen.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you know what I think is a good play too? Pound dollar.
Yeah, that is a nice one. I've been actually looking at that one. That is definitely a nice one. Right now, it's sitting at support, I believe, if you pull it up.
All right, let's pull it up on an hourly. You want an hourly or a 4 hour or daily?
For daily, daily or 4 hour.
We're gonna look at.
I mean, you see it right there on support.
Yeah, you want to look at the long term. I mean, we're still going to look at obviously Brexit, so take that with a grain of salt, right? I mean,
Exactly.
we're right at.
I mean, the technicals show how huge this NFP report is, you know, because it's range bound. I mean, you know, GBP USD, it formed a double bottom not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Retraced a decent amount, and here we are again, ready to break support.
Right.
So it's crucial, this NFP, and we have to watch the wage growth numbers because that's big. That's huge, actually.
Well, let's go and take a look at the calendar. With that being said, tomorrow we got Canadian GDP. If we get a beat, we're going to keep an eye on the Canadian dollar tomorrow morning, 8:30. A15 on non-farm ADP change. We also have Aussie retail sales, which we're not really going to keep an eye on. Right now, 23 pips on the day in the session for dollar yen, 18 down for pound dollar, and euro dollar relatively flat at 8.
Oh, yen, dollar yen broke one. What is that? 103.
103, yeah, with the 103 handle, right? I remember we hit
the Asia session.
Yeah, we hit a 99 handle last week.
Last week.
Last week. I mean, you're talking about the move. I mean, if you would have rolled that, hey, you're doing pretty well. PMIs, just some inflationary data on Thursday, nothing really to go crazy about. And then Friday, we already know what we have: hourly earnings, NFP, unemployment report. We're still going to probably sit under 5%. Still, we're still sitting at 4.8. Um, Again, I think this is probably the most important non-farm payroll report of 2016. I think
Yeah,
if we don't get NFP, throw it out the window, short the dollar because we're not gonna get
definitely,
it.
definitely. Yeah, and that was my next point. You know, if we have a miss or no wage growth, definitely sell the dollar because this is right now the dollar's propped up on the expectations of a good NFP and the Fed's possibly raising off that NFP. So uh, all that goes out the window with a bad number. So that's
Now,
something we got to
tomorrow
look for.
ADP, if we get a good number, we would want to actually maybe put a half position on bullish dollar just to hedge, but to know the fact that we know ADP is kind of giving the leading indicator. So I think
Exactly,
tomorrow
leading indicator.
will give us a good idea. If we have a really good beat on ADP, if it's flat, I wouldn't want to trade it. But if it's a good beat, I want to go long a dollar on a half position.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Half position, and then kind of creep and have a trailing stop loss to make sure that we're not killing ourselves either. But definitely have it
Exactly.
wide. But I would hope to close that to kind of lead in ahead of time, close it on Thursday, and then watch for Friday, jump back in on Friday. But then last week, remember that we had the craziness. We talking about a range of 150 pips, but in minutes. So
Yep, within minutes.
it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. So that is what we're looking at. Definitely dollar pairs the whole way around. That's the focus. And I guess we're gonna check out for NFP, and we will go from there, man. Pretty exciting stuff, man. So Anthony, I want to
Yeah,
thank
this
you
is
so
it. This is
much.
this is the time. This is the time to be in trading right now. This is the
That
most
is it.
exciting time.
This is it. So, man, I appreciate your time as always, my man. We're gonna go ahead and
No
keep an eye on
problem.
everything. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, of course, all our members at JR Capital, of course. Anthony, you want to give them your handle as well?
Yeah, it's Liam Capital at I'm sorry, you said email?
No, your Twitter handle.
Oh, Twitter. Liam Capital One. Yeah, there we go. That's it.
At
Let's
Liam
do it,
Capital
guys.
One. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, man. Make sure to get some followers in there. All right, man. So we're gonna go from there. Tomorrow we'll take a look and see what's going on. We have one trade open, still open from today. We had one closing the dollar, Canadian dollar. We had a profit, I believe, 41 pips, which is very
That
solid.
was a nice one.
Good call, Anthony. And we'll go from there, man. So I
Yeah,
appreciate your
watch the
time as
charts.
always.
Everybody watch the charts. Everybody have a good night. A big week, and we'll watch those numbers as they come out tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, make sure to keep the email notifications on, Twitter notifications on, and email chat rooms on, man. All right, so everyone have a great night. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will catch you on NFP Day.
Have a good one, guys.